under the pale moonlight. Vinny and Phil bring the shadows to life. Tales of the ghostly whispers in the night. Bigfoot and aliens ready for the strife. The darkness thickens, the air is cold. Haunting stories waiting to unfold. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. EVPs echo through the haunted trees. Demons lurk as the chill hits with ease. But the caps rolling with gets to amaze. Cryptids and spirits were lost in the haze. Northmen in the foliage, watch your back. Dogmen prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. Moving in the foliage, watch your back. Dark prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. So tune in next week, fear in your soul. Darkness awaits, let the stories unfold.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Supernatural Sundays, October 5th edition. Got the Philbilly here. Don't have a guest or a guest host speaker tonight, so got my little alien buddy here with me tonight, hanging out. Just got back from a big trip. We went up to the East Coast, went up to Boston, Massachusetts. We were hanging out up there with our forefathers. Sam Adams, John Hancock, Paul Revere. Pretty cool. Went to a cemetery where some pilgrims were actually buried from the Mayflower. We We put some of that up last Sunday. We went live from the Omni Parker House Hotel. It was supposed to be haunted. We did do a little bit of investigation there, and our live feeds kept getting a signal, so we went ahead and went down the elevator and up the elevator and checked out all the different areas and went out on the street. Interviewed a local guy who was like an actor, does some paranormal stuff, and we did see a guy dressed like Paul Revere running around. It was pretty crazy. Was eating in this bar called the Beantown Pub. It's the only place on earth you can sit there and drink a cold Sam Adams while you're looking across the street at the real cold Sam Adams. His grave is right across the street. Pretty cool. Had some pretty good food up there. Ate a lot of oysters, clams, mussels, some lobster, local seafood up there. Went over to Salem, Massachusetts, spent a day over there checking out all the witch stuff. Went to the Witch Memorial, which was pretty cool. They've got it set up like a courtyard, and you can go around, and it's like a wall all the way around. And then they're like big stone blocks, and then every so often there'll be another block that sticks out further than the wall. Kind of like when you go to the shoe store and you're looking for size 13, and they use the boxes to set the shoe on as a display, and they stick out further than the rest of them. Same concept. The block sticks out further. And the stones, instead of being vertical and engraved, they're laying flat, horizontal, and the engraving's on the top. But they're part of the wall. They're not actually on the ground or in the ground. They're up off the ground. They're sticking out of the wall like a shelf. And you go all the way around, and then there was a couple guys that were killed as witches, and the rest were all girls. It would say right on the stone if they were hung or how they passed. There was one wall where I think there was at least 6 of them all got put to death on the same day. It's pretty sad what they did to those people. They found out later that some of the water or whatnot had some stuff in it, could have made them mushrooms if they were eating mushrooms, different things. Environmental things that could have caused them to act weird, and people perceived that as witchcraft back in the day, and so it's really messed up what happened, and it's a good thing that society kind of outgrew that, figured out that there's nothing wrong with these ladies, even if they were practicing anything like that, they weren't hurting anybody, so they didn't deserve to die, certainly. So it was kind of a somber area there. A lot of different witch stuff around the area, different statues and different things. They're getting ready for Halloween up there. So all in all, pretty good trip. If you get a chance to see last week's podcast, I may try to replay that. So this week, we don't have an investigation or anything this week. It's been kind of a messed up week for the team this week. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But this week I got a few things. I've got some videos, some new information on Atlas 3I, which most of the information coming out right now is fake. They said that the James Webb Telescope is sending out plasma protein beams or streams or whatever, and to get a better look at this Atlas 3I, and the fragments were coming out, and then now they're saying there are little ships coming out of it, and they said when they only have one burst of this plasma burst that they can do, and then it burns out the telescope. So James Webb Telescope's burned out. That's a bunch of BS. I just got on NASA's website, and it's live. It's running right now. It's live. So you can't really believe half of any of the crap that's coming out right now. I'd say if it's on NASA's official website, or you get some official information from the space agency, or scientific from a college or something like that that's helping operate these telescopes, then you might be able to believe something. But most of everything coming out is a bunch of BS. I do have some updates. I am going to play a few of those videos here for you to look at. I've got some stuff this week that I think could be real, and I got some other stuff that I'm pretty sure I think it's fake, but I want to let you be the judge. So without further ado, let's get into this week's supernatural news. This first video is about Daniel Boone, one of our forefathers, frontiersmen who settled this area. We're in Kentucky here, Bowling Green, Kentucky, back in the day when the pioneers and frontiersmen were first coming to the area. The local indigenous people called it Kentucky lands. Instead of Kentucky, it's Kentucky. And it was known as a pretty rich area with, a lot of animals and different things, good hunting and that kind of thing. So one of our forefathers, the frontiersman Daniel Boone, there's a story about him encountering a creature. And a lot of people know about Daniel Boone, but I got to mention Simon Kenton. A lot of people don't know about Simon Kenton, but he was actually one of the first guys out there. Daniel Boone kind of followed on his coattails. Daniel Boone was avid frontiersman, but Simon Kenton, he ran the Indian Gauntlet like 7 times, had part of his skull crushed in. He was a big, tall, redheaded fellow. He was probably over 6 feet tall, but he was the one that the local tribes called him the man who does not miss. He uses one of those big, like, buffalo rifles. They call him the man who does not miss. But this man could shoot a deer, throw the deer over his shoulder, and outrun the entire tribe that was coming after him. So, in my opinion, Simon Kenton was a badass. We've got Simon Kenton High School, Simon Kenton, Kenton County. Daniel Boone, he was a badass too, but I don't know if he could have done what he did if Simon Kenton wasn't there first. So if you guys ever had a chance to look up your history, look up Simon Kenton. You won't. I mean, it's unbelievable what he went through. Without further ado, let's get on to this Daniel Boone clip.
Daniel Boone encountered a creature he called a Yahoo on a hunting trip in Kentucky in the 1770s. This Bigfoot creature, about whom the Shawnee told many stories, blocked Boone's path as he was returning to camp. Boone shot the Yahoo and proceeded past it.
It would be nice to have a little more information on that, but sounds like he shot it, but it didn't kill it. It just kept going. So not sure about that. Called it a Yahoo. Now we've got our internet Yahoo. The Australians call their Bigfoot the Yowie. He's a big redheaded creature down there. So I got this video here. It's pretty interesting. I think it's a mother-daughter paranormal team. They've got a lot of videos out, different content, and in this video, it gets really weird. It almost looks like he gets possessed or something. So let's see what you guys think about this.
So everybody that's into paranormal must know who Smug Puppy is, right? And I've always been a little with the whole face changing thing. I mean, say what you may, but this video that I'm about to show you, they do it with a thermal camera. Well, the daughter does. And it's pretty, you know what? Have a look.
Who is it that keeps bothering me? Who is it?
Now I'm going to show a full screen of the thermal clip where, oh my God, dude. where it touches her mouth.
Who is it?
I mean, that's a thermal imaging camera. Infrared. Dude, what the fuck? Those hands. You see the size of those nails? What do you guys think? Pretty creepy shit. If you don't know who they are, I suggest you go and check them out. Smug Puppy on TikTok, they got a load of craziness happening in their house. Allegedly.
Crazy. That thing almost looked like a bumble off Rudolph there. That claw, the fuzzy claw coming around that guy. Pretty wild. I don't know. It showed up on the thermal, but not on a regular camera. So I don't know if that they somehow AI generated that or what. But it's pretty damn creepy. This next one, we're gonna go up to New York, and New York's pretty active. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been on some of these little paranormal tours. They're kind of fun. If you go to different cities you've never been before and you kind of want to learn about the paranormal, about the area, some of these tours, I've been on some that were great, and I've been on some that were just kind of, they were really searching hard to try to present some material. But I like the ones that have a lot of historical stories of the area and tell you about different things that happen there, why they think it's haunted, who they think's haunting. So if you get different areas, I know Nashville has a tour. Louisville's got a pretty decent tour. Takes you up through the old historic sites. Takes you up by the Witch's Tree. Pretty good tour. I've been on one in Key West, Florida. It's a pretty good one. Yeah, if you get a chance to go on some of these, give them a shot. And a lot of them will let you take some equipment with you. You can kind of do a little loose investigating while you're doing on the tour. But here is New York.
New York City is full of ghosts, and here's how to find them. You're going to take the Founded by NYC Historic Haunts Lower Manhattan tour, where you'll walk in the footsteps of the city's oldest residents whose spirits, some claim, refuse to leave.
What's special about this tour is we're going to explore the history of Lower Manhattan and visit a lot of creepy, haunted locations with some of the most famous and infamous ghosts in New York City history. On our tour, we're going to encounter New Yorkers from the past. I mean, from foundlings to founding fathers, like politicians to pirates, some of the most famous and some of the most infamous ghosts in New York City history. What I hope people take away from this tour is just how rich New York is in fascinating stories about the lives that have come before us and the impressions they've left on the city.
New York City's always making history.
Want to know more? Book a tour. You scared me.
So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys ever been on one of those tours, but it's they're pretty cool. Getting back to the Atlas 3i, I'm gonna show you a couple of these things, which I'm pretty sure are fake, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what they're putting out there. I mean, they've done a lot of work on making these fake videos, but they're kind of entertaining. But if just don't believe half of any of it, or you'll be scared to death. You'll be afraid to sleep at night. You'll think the aliens are coming.
Did you hear the massive news today from NASA about 3i Atlas? 3i Atlas is that interstellar object that's traveling through our solar system and is going to do a flyby Earth. Well, NASA announced something that changes everything. They said that they pointed the James Webb Telescope at 3i Atlas, and they pushed a button that shoots photon protein fiber beams in the direction of an object they want to see. But they said they can only use it once because it's so powerful it burns out the telescope. So James Webb Telescope is now burnt out. but it allowed them to get close-up imagery of 3i Atlas. And they said when they were looking at it serendipitously, 3 objects came out of the center of 3i Atlas. And they didn't say these objects broke off it. They said they came out of the center, and the objects have propulsioners on them. And so one of them, they said, is headed towards Earth. The second one is headed towards our moon, and the third one is headed randomly towards Venus. And they said they're going so fast that the one to Earth will get here in a week and a half. I have an inside source at NASA that leaked the imageries to me, and I'm going to post that in part 2, and you will not believe what these objects look like.
That one looked like a rock floating in front of the Jesus statue down in Brazil there. I was like, what? So I don't believe the thing has any kind of a burst of anything it can do. I looked up all the specs on the James Webb Telescope. It has spectrometers, it has mirrors, it has lenses, it has computers and software that can process the imagery. There's infrared spectrometers. There's nothing on there that says it has a photon gun or a plasma gun or anything like that in the description of the telescope. So I'm calling BS on that one. Here's another one. See what you guys think of this.
Here the discovery was far beyond ordinary space noise. Then the stream abruptly cut off, mid-question, and never returned. Viewers initially thought it was a technical glitch, but when the press conference vanished entirely without follow-up, unease began to spread. 2 days later, on the 7th of June, an anonymous user on an underground forum posted what they claimed was an internal NASA briefing document. While the source seemed questionable, the file contained technical data that was far too elaborate to dismiss. Spectrograms, waveform breakdowns, encryption models, and even AI-assisted translations were included. The most shocking part was a partial transcript of the decoded message. It stated, "We have watched. We come in cycles. You are not alone. Prepare." The starkness of the words fueled an online firestorm. Independent researchers, data analysts, and amateur astronomers rushed to examine the document, cross-referencing its content against known signal analysis techniques. The thread exploded across platforms, leaping from online forums that investigate the unknowns of our world to mainstream social media, with entire communities working in real time to unravel the mystery. By the 9th of June, the information vanished. Threads were deleted, accounts banned, links erased, even archived snapshots disappeared. To many, this erasure only reinforced the suspicion that something genuine had slipped out. 2 days later, on the 11th of June, the White House issued a carefully worded statement. It acknowledged that anomalies had been detected in communication arrays, but insisted there was no evidence suggesting an intelligent origin. The message also urged the public to ignore misinformation spreading on unofficial platforms. That same day, NASA's Deep Space Network went offline for what they described as scheduled maintenance. SETI's official website locked into restricted access, and the Allen Telescope Array livestream, once running around the clock, displayed only an error page. The timing of these shutdowns was too precise to be dismissed as coincidence. Soon after, a whistleblower using the alias Jake stepped forward. He had previously worked with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and his credentials were verified before his profile was scrubbed from the internet. He revealed that the transmission had not been a one-way occurrence. Earth's scientists had sent a ping back to the source, and multiple responses had been received in return. These replies were transmitted across different frequencies, carrying the unmistakable fingerprints of intelligence. When pressed further about the content of the new messages, he revealed only that it was not a threat, but an invitation. Despite the magnitude of this revelation, media coverage dwindled. Major networks avoided the story, independent journalists reported unusual difficulties in publishing, and podcast episodes covering the subject vanished from their platforms. Even notable scientists who spoke out seemed to retract their statements. Neil deGrasse Tyson briefly wrote that first contact might not be dramatic, but instead strangely ordinary, only to delete the remark shortly afterward. What should have been the most significant news of the century seemed to dissolve into silence. As the days passed, strange visual phenomena were reported in the skies. On the 15th of June, amateur astronomers in Chile, Japan, and Canada began documenting flashes of light from the direction of Kepler 442b. Unlike supernovas or stellar bursts, these appeared as deliberate pulses, repeating in a pattern: 3 flashes, followed by 6, then 3 again, in cycles occurring roughly every 19 hours. Some observers linked the sequence to the original transmission intervals. Others speculated it might be a countdown or a form of secondary communication. The absence of confirmation from mainstream observatories
Amazing how they can put something into a video with a guy with an accent, a bunch of graphics, and make you really think that's what happened. I don't have a telescope that can see this thing. You know, I could look at, like, you know, craters on the moon, or I might see rings around Saturn or some moons around Jupiter or something. That's the extent of my telescope viewing. So we got to kind of rely on whatever news we get. But a lot of this is just a bunch of made up stuff. The one scientist from Harvard, he said the thing's headed toward the sun. It's going to go behind the sun here toward the end of the month. It'll pop back out on the other side around, December. And he didn't say anything about it coming to Earth or anything, splitting off of it. And right now they got one guy saying it's splitting apart, going to one little craft's going to Venus, one's going to Mars, one's coming to Earth. And I really don't know what to believe, but I'm going to keep trying to present this stuff to everybody so you kind of keep up with the real and the fake news. This next one, I'm going to tell you right up front, I think it's fake, but it's interesting and entertaining. So let's check out some more of this Atlas 3i.
So just recently, more information has become available about 3i Atlas. And at this point, it's starting to get more and more concerning. There are claims that this thing over here, the size of Manhattan, went missing off of the radar for almost 20 minutes. You heard what I just said. It went missing off of the radar for almost 20 minutes. 3i Atlas, this gigantic thing that is the size of Manhattan, went missing for almost 20 minutes. They have people that constantly keep an eye on it, and they were baffled as to where it went. There are claims that it teleported off the radar and disappeared, and then returned almost 20 minutes later. Keep in mind that this thing is moving at an unrecognizable speed, and it's also the size of Manhattan. One of the crazier reports out of this story now is that there are 7 interstellar objects that are both flying and working alongside 3i Atlas. So I guess my question to you is, what is going on with 3i Atlas? No matter what they do, no matter what it does, it is very, very, very determined in making its way to Earth. What is 3i Atlas? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
I think I may have actually commented back to that guy. I can't remember, but he's like, what is it? Yeah, they're still trying to figure out what is it. But from everything I've officially read, there's nothing saying it's coming toward Earth. It's going around the back of the sun. The other thing that's kind of interesting is they're like, it was on the radar, then it disappeared off the radar. I don't know enough about radar, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think radar reaches that far. I think they're looking at it through telescopes and whatnot. I really, maybe there's some other sensors arrays that I don't know about, but I don't think radar reaches that far. Otherwise, why does every airport have a radar? And why do you got to have Doppler radars stations all across the country to look for storms and whatnot? Why do ships have their own radars? Because I don't think they can see all the way to the other side of the solar system. I think you would need a radar on each planet, maybe. I don't know how far out into the, past our atmosphere that radar actually can see, because it's a radio signal. Radio goes slower than light, so if any scientists are watching or anybody wants to get a hold of me or come on, and I'd love to have a radar expert come on and talk to us about anomalies they see with, UFOs, that kind of thing, that would be awesome. But I'm calling BS. I don't think we have radars that reach that far. It might have disappeared off the telescope, but it could have turned just right and the light's not picking it. Just like the ISS can go over the space station. You won't see it at all until it turns just right and the sun has to hit something to reflect off of it. Or it has what they call an iridium flare that lights up. Some satellites hit an iridium flare. Sometimes they even know when they're going to happen. You can get a little chart and watch on your phone, and they'll tell you when the satellite's going to get, show up and get bright and go away. With all the thousands of satellites and stuff we got flying around, it's nothing now to go outside at night and just go out somewhere really dark and watch satellites go over like airplanes. It's getting pretty congested up there. I'm surprised we don't have more crashes than we do. But let's see if I got another. I think that might be all the Atlas 3i stuff. You know what I think it's time for? I think it's time for a little more cowbell.
I could have used a little more cowbell.
We got our Paramoo device with the cowbell. I'll bring it out to any investigation. Anybody who wants me to bring it out, I'll bring it out. It's kind of something fun we did. We've actually had the striker inside the bell move a little bit, but we've never actually had the bell ring yet. And I've already had a couple people on my team tell me that if it rings, they're running to the car. They're not sticking around. So I think it'd be pretty cool if something would ring it. But I make a lot of different static devices where something has to move them. I've got things sealed inside a jar, inside a glass jug bottle. I call them a spinner jug. And I've got a brass spinner in there. It has to move. And we're experimenting around. I've got one with an antique skeleton key we made. A lady up in Ohio's got that one now. She's been trying it out. We actually have one lady who has ergokinetic ability. She could move the spinner with like her hands, or like not touching it. Like I had a clip on a video a while back. I think I posted it on our page, but you can see her moving it kind of like dowsing rods. She's moving the spinner the same kind of way. So we have a lot of fun with those. I like to build stuff that's not electronic, that cannot be manipulated by radio, magnetics, EMF. EMF would be something that possibly could move it, but it's nothing on it's magnetic. Nothing's iron on it. It's all copper and a stone, and we got a cork and it's glass. So there's nothing on there really that can be manipulated with a magnet or magnetism. So anyway, we have a lot of fun with that. The cowbell is to a homage to Christopher Walken in that Saturday Night Live skit where he wants more cowbell. So yeah, we got to throw in a little cowbell. This one's kind of a modern a ghost video. I know you guys maybe have heard where they have these Tesla electric cars they have like a vision system in the front of the car that looks, it has a LiDAR system. It's like kind of like a radar that maps everything. Then it's got a software that looks for like animals and people and shapes. And a lot of these Tesla vehicles have cameras on the front, sides, back. You get an almost 360 view of this around this car when you're driving, or when it's parked, or somebody comes up and tries to break into the car. They'll be on camera. They'd be pretty stupid trying to break into a Tesla, because unless you're completely disguised and covered up, it's gonna show who you are. But this is one of these new Tesla Cybertrucks driving around Cincinnati, up there in Natty. Many of my friends up in Natty are on. Hello, Raymond. I know you might be watching up there, Big Daddy Raymond. And Big Barb Security Service up there in Natty. Anyway, this was up in your area, and here we go, the Cybertruck.
This is said to be one of the scariest videos on the internet right now. Watch it and let me know what you think. This video comes out of Cincinnati, Ohio, just the other day. As a guy's driving around town in his Cybertruck, he wants us to focus on the left-hand side of the screen near the fire hydrant. It doesn't look like anybody is standing there, right? He's gonna show us another angle where we're able to see this actually from all angles of the Cybertruck. Taking that same left-hand turn, look near that fire hydrant. Do you see anybody standing there? I don't see anybody standing there. But as we watch from the rear view camera, we're gonna see something entirely different. Is that a man standing there? It looks like a man is standing there in a construction vest, and he's also missing his hand. He clearly saw the Cybertruck. He seems pretty annoyed that he almost got ran over. Taking a closer look at that same camera angle. What the heck is this? Some people are saying this is AI. Some people think this is something paranormal. What do you think this is? There's a good chance that that's just somebody's uncle. Of course, people are debating at this point. One person in the comments said he was definitely standing right here. They circled it by the fire hydrant. I still don't see him. Somebody responded saying that must have just been the fire hydrant because there's no neon vest. Like, this guy's big. You would be able to tell that it's him. Another thing we're focusing on is his hand, or the lack thereof, because what is that? Also, the cell phone. A lot of people were saying if this was a ghost, he wouldn't carry a cell phone. I noticed his shoes. Those look kind of strange. Also, he has no shadow, and some people were like, well, ghosts don't have shadows, so he looks strange. The whole video is strange. The fact that he almost got run over by the Cybertruck and he seems annoyed because he throws his hands up, that's a little human-like, isn't it?
That was a pretty big feller. I don't know how he could have been hiding behind that telephone pole or about it. He would have been a lot bigger than that fire hydrant. That was a big boy right there. That had that vest. I didn't see anything orange. I just saw the yellow fire hydrant. It's kind of weird that he showed up on the back camera, which makes sense if he was right there. But maybe he was just walking out real fast out of one of them buildings, and the front camera didn't catch him, but he come walking out real quick or come out, and there he was. Now, why he don't have no hand? Maybe he don't have a hand. Maybe the man lost it in an accident or something, and then the phone. Yeah, has anybody ever picked up anything that looks like a ghost or paranormal image holding a phone that's lit up? I don't know. I mean, I've heard of a lot of different images of past spirits, whatever, wearing hats, different period clothing, that kind of thing. But I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody seeing a modern ghost that's passed recently standing there with their iPhone. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just a dude come walking out there. Why he's got a vest on? Maybe he's a sanitation worker. What's he doing out there every night? I didn't see no garbage truck nowhere. Maybe he's neighborhood watch guy or something. I don't know. Maybe he just wears a vest because they don't want to get ran over going to work. I mean, it could be dangerous. It's up in Natty riding around, walking up. It kind of looked like Over the Rhine over there. When you get just north of downtown, they got this area called Over the Rhine, and it used to be pretty run down, but they've been doing a lot of development up there. They've brought in some microbreweries, some different restaurants and bars, and they've actually cleaned it up. And it's not a bad place, not as bad as it used to be to go. But it's kind of the area where they look like they might have been over there by like the Ryan Guys Brewery or somewhere like that. I couldn't really tell for sure where they were. I didn't see any street signs or anything, but he looked kind of like he might have been a construction guy too, But definitely a weird Tesla truck image. Now that we're talking about automotive stuff, this one here, I think this one was a truck. This is the aftermath of a pickup truck crash, and it gets pretty weird.
Till he starts to edit it back at the office and sees this. Watch closely. As the face of a young child appears inside the wrecked car. Loudney is stunned. Not only me, but everybody else in the editing department, including the manager and other people who work there. Everybody saw the face of a child in those images. It came from nowhere. Sometimes you must see it to believe it. But I believe something is there. I know what I saw. My image showed the face of a child.
Definitely looked like a face of a small child poking out from that truck. And if I was hearing that right, it seemed like they said there wasn't a child in the accident. So like a little child spirit running around the area just pops up. It's a pretty weird one. Definitely looked like a little kid though, popping out inside that wreck there. Pretty wild. We've got got another ghost story here for you. This one's kind of interesting. This one, this was pretty wild. They picked up like on a security camera, and I've only seen one what I would consider a shadow person. All the years I've been doing this, I've seen one, and the guy looked like he was wearing a ball cap. He wasn't running around, flying around, just kind of come walking up real slow. And I looked over, and there he was. And it was during the daytime. I actually thought I was in this house. I actually thought somebody was at the front door, like in the fall, when the sun's kind of in the evenings, kind of bright, and it would cast like a shadow of a person. And I thought, well, somebody's at the door, So I go to the door, and because I looked up, he was gone. I go to the door. I'm like, oh, I'll go see what the guy wants, And I get to the door, and there's nobody there. And I thought, well, maybe he went down the sidewalk. So I was like, sir, I go out, look up down the sidewalk, nobody there. And then after I come back, I kind of experimented, went and stood by the door, and the shadow was on the wall. It wasn't where I was looking. The shadow was actually projected in the middle of the room. After I studied it and kind of figured out what was going on, I'm like, what did I just see? There was nobody there. And basically, I finally put two and two together and figured this was a shadow guy just come walking in and stood there, and he disappeared. And the gentleman that lived in the house had passed away in the very next room. And so I asked the lady of the house, who was his widow. I said, did he ever wear a hat? She's like, oh, he wore a ball cap all the time. I'd never met the guy. I just knew of him. And I asked her, did he ever wear a ball cap? She was like, why did you ask? And I was like, well, just wondered. I didn't want to tell her I saw that because I was still processing it myself. Like, what the hell did I just see, And so, yeah, it was pretty wild. I've only seen that once. I've never seen anything like that since. Have not seen any full apparitions, nothing fleshed out, no color. Just the shadow guy I saw this one time. And then I've seen stuff out of the corner of my eye, like going really fast. Just like a quick little blip. And I'm like, what did I just see? Did I really see something? Are my trifocals be cleaned or what, But this one here is kind of weird. This thing almost looks like a damn monkey or a juvenile Bigfoot or something. Then it almost looks like a kid jumping across the furniture. And it's just... Anyway, I'm going to play it. You guys see what you think of this thing.
This is the best video of a shadow person that you will ever see. I can't confirm 100% that this was taken in Appalachia, but it was presented to me that way, which would make perfect sense since Appalachia is the hub of pretty much all things paranormal. I literally get hundreds, sometimes thousands of messages or emails telling me about their shadow person or people experiences. Oftentimes, it's their first paranormal encounter, and it's in the bedroom or just some part of the house, just out of the corner of their eye. But this one is different. This one is, if it's legit, could it be a hoax? Maybe. But if this is legit, it is the best evidence of a shadow person I've ever seen. Watch this. Tell me what you think in the comments.
Thinking maybe it's Michael Jackson reincarnated as a juvenile Bigfoot. Man, thing was he walking backwards like moonwalking back across the couch and the floor, and it went forward and backwards. I don't know if they were just playing it forward and backwards, but it looked furry. I don't know, the one I saw looked more like a person with wearing a ball cap. This thing was kind of furry, like whatever it was, it didn't look human at all, or it didn't look like anything that was a human or could have been a human, but thought I'd share that with you. I know Art Bell, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Art Bell, used to be the host of Coast to Coast After Dark, and he went over to the Philippines for a while, came back, and he had another show that he hosted called Midnight in the Desert, and Crystal Gale wrote his theme song. If you guys are familiar with Crystal Gale, the Red Lynch sister, a beautiful song. If you've ever had a chance to hear it, Midnight in the Desert, pretty good song. I may have to try to put that on some of our clips, but he was he had a whole program dedicated to shadow people. And every once in a while, people will call in. We have a call-in number here too. If anybody ever wants to call in, we'd be happy to have you live on the air. If your questions or anything, we will gladly discuss it and have you on live with your comments. And anyway, Art was always talking about shadow people. Well, a couple of weeks before he passed away, he saw a shadow person in his studio. And like came right behind his equipment. And then he started seeing like some kind of shadow figures running around his property. He lived out in Pahrump, Nevada, out in the desert. Well, out in the middle of nowhere. He had this giant tower that he built so he could transmit his program, because he was on live radio, so he would transmit, and it was on the AM stations. And he was on for a long time. Anybody that's ever drove truck of a night's probably listened to Art Bell, and he was probably one of the better commentators, probably the best I've ever heard as far as doing paranormal late night. But he was seeing shadow people right before he passed away, and I think he ended up pulling his gun one night when there was something, he saw something, and then he just kind of tragically passed one day, and I think it was cardiac related, if I remember right. They didn't really say anything about foul play or anything, but he was definitely one of the greats. But that was my shadow person for this week. This one here is a little strange. It's this guy's sister, and he's talking about this experience his sister had. This is an interesting video.
My sister and my sister-in-law are always saying that our house is haunted, and they caught a ghost on camera, or supposedly a ghost on camera the other day. And I'm home right now, completely alone besides the cat, and I just heard a full door open upstairs. And it reminded me of this video of the cat. It's actually a live photo, and I turned up the exposure here so you can see it better, but that's like a fucking person. They say it wasn't me. I can't attest to the fact that I wasn't the one in the photo, but it doesn't look like me.
I don't think that was bruh. I don't think that was him at all. That was a straight up shadow thing went by. Since we're on the theme of shadow people. Yeah, it just come walking right by. It wasn't as furry as that last one up in Appalachia, but it was definitely some kind of shadow thing running by there. Definitely hit two different videos. That one with the fuzzy one, I can't say that wasn't AI, but this one with the cat there looked pretty legit to me. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, there was a whole program on it one time about Polaroid. There was one, it was the Spectra film camera. Polaroid, guy started taking these Polaroids with this special Spectra film, and he noticed like words showing up, different things. He was picking up all kind of paranormal stuff with this Polaroid camera. Back in the day, a lot of people used Polaroids or the old 35 millimeter or different types of film. We didn't have digital cameras back then, and maybe overexposure, maybe an issue with the lighting or the film getting exposed, compromised. Sometimes stuff will show up in an old photo. And there's been studies done. There was one guy out, I think he was out east somewhere, and he would have like different phantom looking things showing up in his pictures. And I don't know if like I grew up back in the 70s and 80s, and we just had different types of cameras, different types of film stuff back then. So it's not uncommon to go back through your pictures when you're a kid or whatever. It's like, what is that? That looks pretty strange. So if any of you guys have ever had anything show up in your pictures that wasn't there when you took the picture, this video's for you.
There is a ghost in this picture of me when I was a little girl. Honestly, there's already been a handful of spirits that have been captured of me growing up and everything, but I just noticed this one and it looks creepy. It looks like there's a spirit of the man just looking right at me. I have to show you so you can let me know what you think. Okay, first let's take a look at the photo. So here I am at my friend's birthday party. I am right here. Go ahead and take a look at this photo and look at the year. It says 1998. Isn't that wild? I feel so old. All right, now let's zoom in next to me. Okay, so I'm actually freaking out a little bit because sometimes I can't see it. I will look at this picture and be like, okay, I really don't think I see anything, but I really do. You cannot tell me that that is not an eye. That is a legit eye. It looks like a man. It looks like this kind of like he's facing towards the side of me. There is a legit eye here with an eyebrow and hair. Are you kidding me? I have always said there is a spirit of a man attached to me, but kind of getting proof like this, like what? Like no one can tell me that that's not an eye. Like that is someone's face right here, and it's not a kid's face. It is like a man's face. Please let me know what you think in the comments, because this is crazy.
I kind of saw something there in the shadows. Could just be the film. Could be a spirit. Could be an alien. Could be pareidolia. Pareidolia is when you look at a picture and you see stuff in the background that you perceive as an image of like a face or something paranormal or a creature or whatever. But there's a lot of content out there, just stuff showing up in people's family photos and whatnot. So if you got anything like that, you want to send it in, I'll post it. Or if you want to call on the air and talk about it, be glad to discuss it with you. But anyway, that was something that happens quite a bit, actually. People see stuff in pictures that they didn't see when they were actually taking the pictures. It's time for some Skinwalker updates. And I've got a couple videos on Skinwalker this week, and I'm going to go ahead and play those. I've got 2. I don't see the third one here. May have to hunt for that one. All right, here. This is the guy. He was actually on they call him like, it was on a Discovery Channel, probably about, I don't know, man, this might have been like 10 years ago, called Redneck Rockets, and this guy was a scientist. They're all like from the South, and, call themselves rednecks and everything, which I'm cool with that. It's a absence of sophistication, according to Jeff Foxworthy, and get things done, but just not so sophisticated. So if that's a definition of a redneck, I'm okay with that. So this guy's kind of a redneck scientist. He's what you call a high-tech redneck, and he's been on this Skinwalker team for a couple years now. He's also on NASA board, like for UFO research. He's one of their scientists, so I like him. He's pretty cool, and this is him talking about some stuff going on at the ranch.
Well, we were actually sitting right on the other side of this white trailer, and we heard some noise, and we come around the corner, and right here, standing about where you're standing, where I'm sitting, there was something here that was, we shined a light on it, and the light came right back at us like it hit a retro reflector mirror. I mean, blinded us for a second, and then we could see like a shimmering of something standing there, but it was like almost like the Predator in the movies when it's cloaked. And then it just kind of went like that and seemed to have vanished, and we could see the bushes move, like something took off running and ran up the mesa. We went chasing after it. It was dark. I'm gonna say it was probably about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And we never found it, never seen it since then, but we were all hesitant to even talk about it. And then we realized that the Bigelow era scientists that were out here had seen a similar phenomena, and they had reported the same thing. So it's really odd.
The Bigelow team was in there before his team, and they actually had documented some similar things going on. But it's kind of like on the Predator movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Predator movie, but this thing could jump from tree to tree, run around, and it's like cloaked. It almost looks like it's covered with some kind of mirror-like material, and it's pretty much invisible unless you hit it with paint or hit it with something, like something like dust, or as Arnold would say, if it bleeds, he could kill it. So once Arnold got it wounded and it was bleeding, then he could track it because the blood would glow, but it's pretty interesting. Whatever it was, sounded like it took off, and didn't sound like it left any footprints. This is another Skinwalker video. If I'm correct, this one is the one. There was an earlier episode where this man, he was out there and just like something weird happened. He woke up with this real bad headache and it got worse. And it got to the point where like his part of his skull and head started having a major issue, like his scalp's coming loose. And I think it's either a CAT scan or a X-ray, and it's been studied quite a bit. They think he was hit with some kind of an energy weapon, like from the back. Like we don't know what, like some kind of pressure weapon or some kind of something like a pulse that hit him and messed him up pretty bad. It didn't leave any, like marks. It didn't break the skin. It was like pressure, intense, directed, concentrated beam of like force, some unknown force that hit him in the back of the head. And it was pretty bad. I mean, he's lucky. He's really lucky. He's probably not permanently brain damaged or dead or paralyzed from it. But it's pretty messed up what happened to this guy. I'm going to play this if this is the correct video.
You remember that first episode of Skinwalker Ranch where they hit the ranch superintendent with a directed energy weapon? No? Let's watch.
One day I decided to do some digging, and then 3 days after, I noticed that I had a goose egg on the back of my head. By the time I let my wife finally take me to the emergency room, the goose egg had actually spread through my entire head. My scalp separated from my skull. The pain is so excruciating. I've never felt anything like it before in my life. The doctors had no idea what caused it.
Hold up. That's the same brain scan that was used in a Vice article. Look at that. But the Vice article one has some extra drawings on there. And what do they say? Well, look, it's the direction of the radiation, and it's coming from above and behind Thomas Winterton. The subject of the article, Dr. Gary Nolan, states very clearly that it's not a UFO, it's an energy weapon being used by a state actor. This is going to come as a shock to a lot of you, but Skinwalker Ranch probably doesn't have anything to do with aliens and has everything to do with exotic weapon technology. Back in 2008, Bob Bigelow, the former owner of Skinwalker Ranch and Bigelow Aerospace, signed a contract with the Defense Intelligence Agency to report on new technologies. The reports they were preparing were meant to encapsulate everything around advanced aerospace weaponry, including lift, propulsion, etc., including the human effects of being in contact with these new technologies. One of these reports deals with the anomalous acute and subacute field effects on human biological tissues. It was prepared by Dr. Christopher Kit Green, and he goes over how various advanced aerospace technologies can expose humans to exceptionally strong exotic fields that can cause all kinds of crazy shit, heating and burn effects, internal neurological, psychiatric injury, etc. And quote, since the potential deployment of advanced weapons technology is subsumed under this topic, of interest are not only the side effects associated with possible lift and propulsion field mechanisms of advanced craft architectures, but also the effects from advanced weapon systems as well. These include, but are not limited to, beam weapons and active denial systems, including high-powered microwaves. And these have the ability to cause frontal temporal headaches with millimeter waves, pulses of radio frequency to disorient and destabilize muscular coordination, and at this frequency, they can also cause thermoelastic expansion in the brain, which is pretty much exactly what we saw in Thomas Winterton's injuries. Dr. Nolan, who has Thomas Winterton's brain scans in this Vice article, was working hand in hand with Dr. Green, who wrote this paper. It's funny, you don't hear any mention of skinwalkers in any of these briefs that Bigelow Aerospace put together, so it's looking a lot less like spooky paranormal and a whole hell of a lot more like treason.
Yeah, it kind of don't make sense. Why would they be? Bigelow's were out of there at that point, I believe. So why would the why would you still be experimenting around with weapons and stuff like that if you know the property has a new team, there's people out there and everything? I don't know if it, he's thinking it could be state-sponsored weaponry, which sounds like they do have stuff like that and the effects of it. But I'm not sure why they would still be shooting it around out there. You'd think something like that would be at a enclosed, highly secure military base in a controlled setting, not just out on a ranch somewhere, where some guy could get hit in the back of the head like that. And it's from above, so it tells me whatever it was aerial. It was either, something had to shoot it from above. If it was man-made, or it could have been, non-man biologically made, something pretty wild. I just wanted to share that with everybody. I don't know if anybody remember that guy got hurt, but at the time they kind of didn't show a lot of details, but there's a lot more details about it now. I think that's most of the videos for this week. Not sure what we're going to have coming up the next couple weeks. Still looking for some different content. And I've got a couple possible guests lined up. I'm not sure about what we're going to do as far as investigations or anything. We've got some bad news this week from our team, some sad news. One of our team members, Jessica, had lost her father earlier in the week. Our condolences go out to Jessica. And then just today, Jeff, one of our team members, his wife had lost her battle with she had been diagnosed about 3 months ago with cancer, and some complications from that, and sadly she didn't make it today. So we're all kind of feeling the effects of that. Condolences to Jeff, Kaylee, Malone family, and Jessica. We've lost a couple. Our team members have lost some family this week, so just want to say we're real sorry. And anything we can do, our prayers go out to them and their family, and we're just going to be here for them, be in touch. So just want to kind of mention that at the end of the show here, just let everybody know what we're kind of dealing with some stuff this week. So anyway, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate everybody. Hopefully we'll have a little better news next week, but I don't think anything's going to be the same for a while. So without further ado, appreciate everybody tuning in. Supernatural Sundays this week, and y'all tune in next time. Come on.